So, welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the place where we take your source material, all the articles, the research, even your own notes, and we pull out the absolute essential insights you need to move forward.
And today we're doing a deep dive into the foundational rules of building real lasting wealth. This is hands down the topic we get asked about the most.
Right.
You're here because you want to make more money, you want to secure your future, and, just stop worrying.
And it's such a paradox, right? Because we've never had more access to financial information
It's everywhere.
on social media, everywhere. But nearly half of U.S. adults still grade their own financial knowledge as like a C or worse. We're just drowning in all this get-rich-quick noise.
Yeah, and our sources are they're all pretty much unanimous on this. True financial freedom is not built on hacks or luck or day trading. It's built on discipline, on strategic ownership, and a deep, healthy understanding of how money actually works.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our mission for you today is to figure out how to move past relying on, sheer exhausting willpower to manage your money.
Right.
And instead, create automated, sustainable systems. We're going to give you a roadmap for saving, for investing, and, this is the big one, healing the mental habits that keep you from building wealth.
Yeah.
All right, let's start at the very beginning, the foundation, saving.
Yeah.
It almost seems too simple to talk about.
It does, but experts point out that saving isn't really a willpower contest. It starts with something much more fundamental. You have to have something to save in the first place.
Right, you need some raw material.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, especially if you're just starting out, that first bit of capital isn't money, it's time. The research we looked at suggests the average person can pretty easily reclaim, say, 8 to 10 hours a week from low-value stuff.
Like endless TikTok scrolling.
Endless scrolling, gaming, binge watching. And that time needs to be reinvested immediately into something with a high return.
Okay, so you get the time back, then you point it at something high value. And one piece of advice that kept coming up was investing 2 to 4 of those hours a week into physical fitness.
Which might sound like a weird detour, but it's absolutely essential. We're always focused on the financial P&L, but your physical and mental P&L, that's the real foundation.
It's the base layer.
It is. Feeling physically strong and capable, especially in your early career when things are stressful, it's a huge component of mental resilience. That feeling translates directly into confidence. You feel more capable, kinder, and just better equipped to handle the financial stress life throws at you.
And the rest of that reclaimed time. It needs to be focused on getting, as one expert put it, a taste for the flesh of money.
I love that phrase. It means getting a side hustle. TaskRabbit, stocking shelves, whatever. Something that proves to you that your time can turn directly into cash.
But once that money starts coming in, that's when you hit the next wall, right?
Yeah.
The automation imperative.
Oh, yeah. If you rely on willpower, you lose. It's estimated that something like 98% of people will spend everything that passes through their hands.
And that's not a personal failing, is it?
Yeah.
It's by design. It's social engineering. We live in a society where brilliant minds are paid to time the perfect offer to just shatter your willpower.
It's a beautifully constructed temptation machine. You buy new running shoes, and then what happens?
Oh, instantly. You get ads for the perfect expensive socks to go with them.
Exactly. Or you book a flight and a pop-up offers you a perfectly timed upgrade. Trying to fight that constant personalized stream of offers with just mental energy, it's a losing battle.
So if the fight is rigged, what's the move? What's the non-negotiable solution?
Forced savings. You have to get the money out of your hands before it ever hits your checking account. It's wild that only, 17% of Americans use automatic transfers to save?
Which means 83% are relying on willpower at the end of the month when they're tired and vulnerable.
And that's the worst time. So the action is simple. Set up those tax-advantaged accounts. A 401k, an IRA. These are retirement accounts where the government actually gives you tax breaks to encourage you to save.
And the money goes straight from your paycheck into the accounts. It's like it was never there. It's invisible, untouchable.
That's the key. Find those mechanisms. A 401k match at work is a great one, or even an app like Acorns that rounds up your purchases. If you're in your 20s, lean into your biggest asset, human capital, time.
Right.
You don't need to be intense. You need to be consistent. Just start by automating 3 to 5% of your income. The goal is just to build the habit. Compounding will do the heavy lifting later on.
That all sounds so clear and logical, but I know a lot of people listening are thinking, I've tried. It feels harder than ever. Why does saving feel so impossible right now?
It's a perfect storm, really. You've got economic pressure and behavioral science kind of working against us. On the behavioral side, we shoot ourselves in the foot with these huge, unrealistic goals.
Like, I'm going to save $12,000 this year.
Exactly. When you've never even managed to save $500, it's a recipe for failure. You just crash and burn by February. We need small, achievable, monthly goals to build that confidence.
And there's a biological piece to this too, right? Especially for younger people. The part of your brain that controls executive function.
The prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, the part that's like the gas and the brake, the thing that stops you from playing video games and makes you start studying.
Yeah.
That part matures later than we think.
It really does. So that challenge of starting a hard long-term task like saving is a real biological hurdle, not just you being lazy. That's why automation is so much better than relying on raw willpower.
And that biological reality is meeting, an incredibly brutal economic reality.
The financial discouragement is immense. Let's just look at the numbers. 40 years ago, a good salary might be $100 grand. An average house maybe $280,000. That's a 2.8x ratio of price to salary.
Okay, and now?
Now, a high earner might make $200,000, but an average house in a city you want to live in could easily be $2.1 million. That's a 10.5x ratio.
Wow.
That financial compression is just crushing.
And then you add interest rates on top of that.
Exactly. They jumped from, 3% to 7% in just a few years. So the traditional American dream of owning a home for millions of young people, it's become a hallucination. The numbers just don't work anymore.
So what do you do when a goal feels impossible?
You give up. And we're seeing that, a massive shift away from saving and accumulating toward, prioritizing experiences, the travel boom, Airbnbs in Bangkok. The thinking is, if I can't afford a down payment, why save at all? Let's live now.
And that's understandable.
It's completely understandable, but it doesn't solve the long-term problem. If you're in your 20s right now, the best advice we saw was actually non-financial. It's you have to forgive yourself and you have to endure. Your 20s are a workshopping decade.
You're allowed to fail.
You are allowed to hate investment banking, quit, and move back home. The expert we referenced did that. While you're workshopping, though, you have to get the easy right.
What does that mean?
Show up early. Be kind. Get a practical certification in something. And build a kitchen cabinet of trusted advisors because you can't read the label from inside the bottle.
And then have that really honest conversation with yourself.
A sober conversation about what you actually want. If you want that high-end lifestyle in a place like LA, you have to commit to an intense career path. If you want balance now, maybe a move to Santa Clarita or Oregon is the trade-off. You can have it all, just not all at once.
That focus on mindset is a perfect segue into the habits that keep people from building wealth, no matter how much they make.
Right.
When you really look at it, it's rarely about salary. It's almost always about these three key habits.
Right. These habits that keep people stuck in a poverty mindset. Habit number 1 is what we're calling the 2 S's trap. Spending or saving all your money.
Which sounds counterintuitive. Saving is supposed to be good.
It is, but saving everything in cash is a financial black hole. The stats are just grim. About half of America has zero investments. No 401k, no IRA, nothing. And of working people, only about a quarter invest outside of those basic retirement accounts.
So we're taught that saving cash is the safe, responsible thing to do. But mathematically, it's actually a huge strategic error.
It's what we call the inflation time bomb. So you put $10,000 into a savings account. It grows at, let's be generous, 1%. But inflation right now is running at, say, 5%. You are losing 4% of your purchasing power every single year.
But then real terms for me.
Okay, so if that $10,000 bought you 100 jackets last year, this year it only buys you 96. Your number looks safe, but the value of what your money can actually buy is silently eroding every single day.
So wealth isn't built by just holding cash.
No. Wealth is built by strategic ownership. And this is habit 3, not understanding the difference between currency and a store of value.
Okay, let's break that down because that is critical.
Currency, like the US dollar, is fantastic for buying and selling stuff. It's a medium of exchange. A store of value is an asset that holds its worth over time, regardless of what the government does.
And dollars are a bad store of value.
A very poor store of value, especially now. Wealthy people get this. They quickly convert their currency, their dollars, into things that hold value or produce income.
This is why in some traditional cultures, like in India, extra money was always converted into gold or other physical assets.
Exactly. Gold has historically been a much better store of value than government-printed currency. If you don't make that conversion from currency to asset, you are, by definition, slowly getting poorer.
Which leads right into the next habit.
Habit 2, blindly following the system. The traditional advice, go to school, get good grades, get a job, climb the corporate ladder, and look, that works up to a point.
But the truly wealthy people don't just want to climb the ladder.
They want to own the ladder. They focus on buying assets, businesses, investment portfolios, real estate that pay them without them having to be there, that generate passive income. The whole game shifts when you go from working for a salary to owning for profit.
Okay, so if owning and investing is the secret, not just saving, we need a clear roadmap. But before we get into the nuts and bolts, we have to talk about the cultural pressure that just kills all of this.
The look-rich trap. It's a massive, massive drain. We live in a culture where people are spending money. They don't have to impress people they don't even know.
I mean, that Coachella anecdote was mind-blowing. 64% of the average attendees used buy now, pay later to get their tickets.
Think about that. They were literally trading future debt and stress for a single 1-minute Instagram post.
It's an insane financial transaction.
The real flex is peace of mind. The real flex is having low monthly payments and a high investment balance. And that piece, it starts with stage 1 of the investment roadmap. Invest in yourself.
Which is, bar none, the highest returning asset you will ever find.
Absolutely. Your skills, your knowledge, your resilience, that has unlimited upside. It compounds like crazy. Bet on yourself first before you bet on any stock market.
And after you've done that?
Then you move to stage 2. Diversified index funds. Look, 99% of us cannot beat the pros. We just can't.
Okay.
So the smart move is low-cost, low-movement funds, like an S&P 500 index fund.
For someone just starting, what does diversified even mean? And why is an index fund considered safe?
Diversification just means not having all your eggs in one basket. An index fund is a basket that holds a tiny piece of hundreds of different companies. So if one company goes bust, you barely even notice.
And you're diversified across different types of things, too.
Right. Across asset classes, you want a balance of U.S. stocks for growth, maybe some emerging markets for higher potential return, and bonds for stability.
Okay, so a stock is a piece of a company. I'm betting it will go up in price. That's the upside and the risk. What is a bond doing for me?
A bond is income. You're basically loaning money and getting a fixed interest payment back, called a coupon. You want bonds because when the stock market inevitably crashes, your bonds are still paying you. They stabilize the whole portfolio and keep you from freaking out.
And the rule for stage 2 is to automate, at least 10%?
At least 10% of your after-tax income into these funds. And you have to treat that 10% as a bill, a need, not a want. You have to pay yourself first.
But what if someone listening right now just genuinely feels that 10% is impossible?
Then you go back to the start small advice. If you can only do 3%, do 3%. The key is consistency over intensity. You just have to build the muscle of automation and make sure you're beating that inflation time bomb.
Okay, so what's stage 3?
Stage 3 is for the pros, for high net worth individuals. This is private investments.
Things like private equity.
Right. Investing in companies that aren't on the stock market. Or alternatives like real estate, commodities like timber. But the warning here is huge. You have to avoid the gamified, high-risk stuff like options and warrants.
Those are basically just leveraged bets on where a stock is going to go.
Exactly. And unless you are a serious professional who does this all day, every day, messing with that stuff is it's like trying to do brain surgery after watching a YouTube tutorial. It is gambling, not investing, and it will wipe you out.
And the final stage.
Yeah.
The highest level.
Become the company. Build or buy a business outright. That's where you control everything. The assets, the profits, the future.
We've covered the tactics, the technical roadmap. But this entire thing really hinges on this last piece, doesn't it? Your relationship with money.
It's everything. Money is a relationship, period. Just like with your body or your partner, you have to nurture it, respect it, show up for it. The sources we looked at, they really emphasize training your attention.
The mantra idea.
Yeah, if you actively repeat something like, I'm a magnet for money, money comes to me abundantly and freely, you're not doing magic. You're training your brain to notice opportunities that are flying past most people all the time.
That willingness to look, to just be open to receiving. It's so important. The anecdote about the weed penny is the perfect illustration of this.
Yeah, that one. It's great.
So the speaker was on a freezing subway platform, saw a dirty, crusty penny on the stairs, and his first thought was, ugh, not worth it.
We've all had that thought.
Right. But he was doing this money magnet experiment. So he stopped, he fought that internal resistance, and he picked up the dirty penny.
And later, when he cleaned it up, he realized it was a 1945 wheat penny,
Yeah.
a specific collector's item. He sold it online for $4,000.
$4,000.
It shows that immense value can be hidden right in front of you, but you have to have the mental willingness to look for it and receive it.
The idea of respect is so deep in some cultures.
Oh, yeah. In many traditional Indian cultures, if a rupee falls, you bow, you touch it to your forehead, and you pick it up. You're showing respect to Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. You're treating money like a valued guest.
So try the money person test.
Hmm.
Imagine money walks into a room as a person. How do you treat them? Do you avoid them, use them, and then ghost them? That's how a lot of people treat their finances.
It's a very common unhealthy dynamic. Instead, you want to show up as a generous host with kindness, clear intentions, vulnerability. True wealth, real wealth, is living beneath your means and still feeling abundant.
When you heal those money wounds, all the fears and the scarcity you inherited, you stop needing to buy things to feel cool. And that's when you leave the prison of constant worry.
And that's financial peace. It's the ultimate goal. And it's not built from one hack. It's built from strategic choices repeated over and over again.
So to wrap it all up, the path is discipline through automation.
Right. And strategically investing a minimum of 10% of your after-tax income into assets that grow, and then fundamentally shifting your mindset from looking rich to being rich.
So you've heard today that your 20s are for work shopping, and that building that human capital, it often requires this immense, intense effort. It costs you time, relationships, maybe even some hair. But we also heard that consistency, not intensity, is the real secret to building wealth. And that so many people struggle with these money wounds and this deep fear of going broke.
Which it raises a really important question for you to think about. If consistency is the ultimate secret to long-term wealth, how do you sustain the intense work required to build human capital early in life without burning out your relationship with yourself or with the people you love?
And if this deep dive helped you rethink your relationship with money, if it gave you a clear, actionable strategy, share it with someone who is ready to build wealth with intention and with discipline.